But it's not very nice to see your effigy being burned in front of the Spanish embassy in Delhi, and then they burn a bag of flour, and that bag is you. So that's not very nice to see. But I must say there is a positive side to it, is that without wanting, they did the best promotion a book can have in history, because they created that controversy. Everybody wanted to read that book. Hello, my name is Javier Moro. I'm the author of various books on India. One of them is 5 Past Midnight in Bhopal, The Red Sari, or Passion India. All of them are proof of my love for the country. And I'm so happy to be part of the KLF apostrophe. Thank you.
Mr. Moro, why these books are based on India?
Because I've come to India when I was a child with my parents. And since then, I kind of fell in love with the country. And when I grew up, I always found very inspiring stories in India. And as I write in Spanish, mainly from a very wide Spanish-speaking audience, we're 600 million people speak Spanish in the world, and there was not really connection between India and that world. So I kind of found Indian stories that I could tell my audience about. And for example, the story of Passion India, which was a big bestseller, was a story of Anita Delgado, a flamenco dancer, who married the Maharaja of Kapurthala in 1906. And she spent 20 years living in Kapurthala as the princess of Kapurthala. Well, that is a story that, I could, through the eyes of a European woman, I could tell the end of the Raj. And that story fascinated women all over the world, and still is a bestseller in South America. Then I wrote a very controversial book. Well, it wasn't controversial per se, but it ended up being the center of a controversy, called the Red Sari, the story of Sonia Gandhi and the Gandhi family. Also, it was, from my point of view, the opportunity to tell the story of the beginning of an independent India and the beginning of industrialization through the eyes of that European who was part of India's first family. And the story is fabulous because this woman who had absolutely no ambition except being a housewife ended up being one of the most famous woman and powerful woman in India when she won the elections. So I found that transformation from a European youngster to an Indian wife very interesting to write, very dramatic. And that was a Red Sari, but it encountered, when it came out, a big controversy that was politically induced, but didn't harm at all the book. Then I wrote another book, which is 5 Past Midnight in Bhopal, which is an image of the India and how it becomes an industrial power. And even though it's a story of the world's most deadly industrial accident, it is a book that shows love for India, because it's told through the point of view of all these men and women for whom that factory was a dream, and how that dream turned out into a horrible nightmare. And I think that's one of my most cherished and probably one of the best books I've written. I co-wrote it with Dominique Lapierre, who's the author of, other very well-known books like Freedom at Midnight or The City of Joy. So we co-wrote 5 Past Midnight in Bhopal, and I really think it's a wonderful book.
Can you just tell me the experience that you have to work a lot to write a book on Bhopal tragedy?
Though that was a very long endeavor. I spent 6-7 months living in Bhopal, and I interviewed the whole society, from the bottom to the royal family. And I made a lot of friends. They all wanted to tell that experience. They all wanted to unburden themselves with that suffering. And for me, it was a fabulous experience because that's when I got to learn a little bit about India. You never learn about India a lot because it's so vast and big. But at least then I could learn a little bit about India and all facets of India, because such a sophisticated culture and society. And it was a very, very hard research, that book, because we didn't have the assistance or the help of Union Carbide. So we had to find out by ourselves how a chemical factory runs and how could that accident have happened. It's never one single cause. An accident like that usually is multiple causes that trigger it. But within that terrible story, the challenge was to make a readable story, an appealing story to a wide audience of readers. And I think we got that because it's a story of people, of people who lived that dream.
Were you disappointed by the political controversies surrounding Red Sari?
If I were disappointed, no, I was surprised. But it's not very nice to see your effigy being burned in front of the Spanish embassy in Delhi, and then they burn a bag of flour, and that bag is you. So that's not very nice to see. But I must say there is a positive side to it, is that without wanting, they did the best promotion a book can have in history. Because they created that controversy. Everybody wanted to read that book. Why? Why are they so much against the book? There was no reason, really. And when the book finally came out, we couldn't publish it for 4 years. But not because it was a ban. It was never banned. Because the publisher thought it was dangerous to provoke the youngsters from the Youth Congress and all this. So we waited for 4 years. When she lost the election, in 2014, next month, we launched it, and it was a huge success. Still sells.
And coming back to Spain, have you been in Kerala before?
I've been in Kerala 20 years ago. I was in a beach in Kerala when September 11th happened. And I was there, and I remember these fishermen, when we were together in the beach, they were listening to the radio, said what happened. They couldn't understand the brutality of that accident, of that terrorist attack. So that's the last time I was in Kerala. So that was a long time back. So I'm very glad to be back. But I've I've always been in touch with Kerala, because once a year I come for a panchakarma for the past 6 years. So, and now I'm going to another one. That keeps me alive.
Where do you usually do that?
I usually in Bangalore, and now I'm going to do it in Fort Kochi.
Fort Kochi. Okay. Calicut is famous for its love for football. So when somebody hears that you're from Spain,
yes,
they'll be really never tempted to ask you about football and Spanish football clubs.
Oh,
Are you fond of football?
no,
Are you a fan?
I hate football.
Are you?
I don't follow soccer, but I know that Spain is known. When I say to somebody, when they ask me where are you from, and say Madrid, oh, Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Barcelona. Yes, but I'm not really a follower of this football
Oh, really?
clubs. No, I'm sorry. I'm not a Spaniard in that way.
Okay. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you to you. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your hospitality.